Hey, what's up, Life Without Pants with another Path of Exile video, and in today's video we're going to talk about Righteous Fire Inquisitor League Starter. This is a absolutely wonderful build, largely SSF friendly. You can run this on League Start. I've got a full guide for this. It's based on Pohx's guide as well, so if you want a super detailed, incredibly detailed version of this guide, then go check out Pohx. He's a really good creator. We're going to just chuck in this bog map and we're going to have a look at the playstyle. The playstyle for this build is basically you pop your Righteous Fire and you run around, and that's basically it. I've got a shield charge here on my right click, so you just charge around like this. It's a really nice mapper. You can just zoom around and everything basically explodes around you. It's quite cheap as well. I've not got the best gear on at the moment. I've got a couple of good items, but you know, like my fire trap for my single target is actually level 19. Oh, we've got two bosses here. You can apply exposure to stuff by just like frost blinking across. We've got Hex Touch associated with our frost blink, so you can put flammability or whichever curse you want on any rares, especially now that rares are going to be essentially buffed again or like made a lot harder. It's a really great build. I really enjoy playing it, and let's take a look at how you start this off. Okay, so we start off before up to Mervail. Basically, we're gonna take, I think I have a rolling magma here. I've got a bunch of skill sets. So yeah, level 1 to 3, just gonna take rolling magma, elemental proliferation. It's a decent skill. You're just gonna go get the Quicksilver Flask from the Tidal Island and make sure you're into the submerged passage. And once you come back from that, you're going to take Holy Flame Totem with Frost Blink, linked to Arcane Surge. Do not level up your Arcane Surge, let's leave that at level 1. Take Vitality when you can get it as well. But your Holy Flame Totem, added lightning damage. You can also throw in Flame Wall as well, because if you put your Flame Wall down in front of your Holy Flame Totem, the Holy Flame Totem fires through it, and it gives added fire damage to all those projectiles. This is what the tree looks like for the pre-Mervail section. So we're just making a beeline through the LE damage nodes over to Retribution. And then we're going to go straight up into the brand damage area and take brand attached to new enemy each time they activate, no more than once every 0.3 seconds, because we're going to go with Wintertide Brand. It's really good damage over time, and this build, unsurprisingly, has a heavy damage over time focus. So we're going to take Wintertide Brand before we kill Mervail. So once you get into, I think it's the Siren's Cadence quest that you finish, you can get Wintertide Brand as a reward for that. Then we're going to go, basically we're going to use that all the way up until normal lab. So we're going to take Wintertide Brand. Basically you want a, this is the order of importance of the skill gems. So you want Wintertide Brand, definitely. Efficacy, if you can get a 3 blue, then put in faster casting. Obviously there's up to level 32, so at that point you can start dropping 4 links. So if you get a blue, red, then throw life tap in there as well. For Frostblink, we're going to keep it attached to Arcane Surge, so we get some more spell damage from that. We're going to take Determination as soon as we can get it, and Vitality. Vitality is really important. Determination, a huge amount of armor from this. It's really defensive. Frostbite is the curse you can take. I think you get it from killing Gravicious from Maramoa. And in your offhand leveling, you should do take Righteous Fire as soon as you get it. As soon as you can get it, and start leveling that in your offhand. Now, we've taken all this brand stuff here. Obviously, you want to get Rune Binder at this point as well, so you get -1 number of summon totems, because we've dropped Holy Flame Totem. We're going only Wintertide Brand, so you can get an extra brand attached to each enemy. I personally, at this point, path straight up here to these damage over time nodes, up to Acrimony, because Wintertide Brand is damage over time. Then I usually go with go down here to Discipline and Training, Light of Divinity, and Holy Dominion, and then around, for the last 5-6 levels, then I take these life nodes here. So the Purity of Flesh life wheel. I take Vitality has 100% increased mana reservation efficiency, because that means it's just easier to run that, and determination, we don't run out of mana as much. And then this life mastery plus 50% maximum life, because that's just nice healthy amount of life for us to get. And this brings us up to our normal lab. And for our normal lab, we are going to be taking Sanctuary. Alright, so we've done normal lab, we're zooming through the campaign. We're going to take the 10% less damage taken from damage over time mastery over here. That's going to help us later on, and obviously just helps with poison, that kind of stuff. We're going to take the entire sovereignty, mana reservation, wheel, and aura effect. Now, we lost 15% mana reservation efficiency of skills as a mastery, so that's not in here. We just got auras from our skills have 15% increased effect on us. That's because our vitality is going to have 15% increased regen, and our determination is going to have a little bit extra effect. So whilst it's a nerf to the build in comparison to 3.18, it's not a huge issue. We can pick up the stuff later on. Obviously we've got these area of effect nodes down here, and we're going to go straight over and take these elemental damage nodes over here. 50% increased elemental damage, obviously pretty big. I took the 15% elemental resistances just because it's nice. It relieves a bit of gear pressure during the campaign. I frequently just take a 3-socket and forget to upgrade it, or even craft on resistances at all. So this is really good for me to zoom around and not have to bother going to my hideout. Obviously we're taking the regeneration of life nodes over here. We're going to come down and take this for increased elemental resistances and maximum fire resistance, and a bit of a boost to fire resistance as well. And then here we're taking Juggernaut with determination, has 25% increased mana reservation efficiency. As far as our skills go, after you've done the normal lab, you're gonna have to do the library quest and offhand level these 3 gems. This is the most important, the order of importance, I would say. Summon Skitterbots, Fire Trap, and Burning Damage. These are all very important skills. Fire Trap is going to be our single target later on. Summon Skitterbots is just a great aura to have, and Burning Damage is going to support our RF later. So with our Wintertide Brand, we're still up until Cruel Lab. There's a swap after Cruel Lab, but we're going to take the same skills we had before. So the same Forelink for Frostblink and Arcane Surge is still the same. Determination still the same. Vitality still the same. We're taking Summon Stone Golem at the end of Act 4, I believe it is, just before you go into the Ascent. It's just a little bit extra life regen. I usually drop this around sort of yellow maps. I just don't bother having it anymore. And we still have Frostbite from our skills. So, and also for our Ascendancy, we're taking Pious Path. This means that our Consecrated Ground that we create basically doubles the life regen we get from Consecrated Ground. So that's what up until our Cruel Lab looks like. Let's take a look at the swap now. Alright, we've done our Cruel Lab, we've taken Pious Path, and this means that our life regen is really decent. So at this point we're going to swap over to Righteous Fire. So we've got this after Cruel Lab RF swap tree here, and the way I handle this is I add in this intelligence node here, which means that the tree is still connected to itself, and then I unspec these. I think there's 5 points here, 6, 7, 8, and then I put in these 3 here, and then I put in these 3 here. And I also take the 20% fire damage over time multiplier and plus the minus 30% to fire resistance. Obviously, be very careful if you're not fire res capped. You should be, because you're playing Righteous Fire. But this is a really easy way to do this swap. So this is what your tree will look like after you've swapped. You should have enough points from going through the campaign in order to make this swap from just the quest lines in the campaign. For our skills, this is when we start to use Righteous Fire as our main clear skill. So we've got a 4-link, you're going to need blue, red. So Righteous Fire, Elemental Focus, Burning Damage, and Increased Area of Effect. This is in order of importance of the skills. Obviously Righteous Fire at the top. For our single target, we're going to be using Fire Trap. So Fire Trap, you're on a green, blue, red. Fire Trap, Control Destruction, and Life Tap are the most important, and Trap and Mind Damage, obviously very nice to have as well. For our curse, we're going to use Frostblink, as I said before. Frostblink with Hex Touch and Flammability and Life Tap. If you can't get Life Tap, you don't have to use it, but I I would definitely aim for getting a blue, 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 red here. For mobility, we're putting shield charge, faster attacks, and life tap. I usually have this in my... I usually put this in a shield if I can get it, just because it feels thematically appropriate. For our auras, we're going with determination, vitality. We've still got Summon Stone Golem around. Eventually, we'll be able to... after level 68, we'll be able to swap out Vitality for Malevolence, because we'll have a lot more life regen. Summon Stone Golem, again, it's going to be around for a little bit. And at this point, we're going to throw in a Warcry as well. So I actually have, I think on the tree, we've got the Warcries. In the next section, we'll have Call to Arms, where using Warcries is instant. You can put in the Warcry now and start using it. Eventually, I just put it on my left mouse button, so I'm just constantly moving around and Warcrying all the time. So let's take a look at what 68 plus looks like from Merciless Lab. Okay, so for our Merciless Lab, we're taking Augury of Penitence. This means it's just some extra damage for us, and nearby enemies do less elemental damage. We're gonna take this Faith and Steel node here, along with 20% reduced effective curse. This is just some extra armor and elemental resistance. Really, really nice and safe feeling. We're going to take a Sanctity down here, so we're regenerating a little bit more life rather, and taking a little bit extra intelligence. Down at the bottom here, we're going to take in Call to Arms. This means that our Warcries are now instant. And then we're going to take this life wheel here. It's on the way to Soul of Steel, so we get +1 maximum elemental resistances. This means the difference between having 75 fire res and 76 is 4% less damage taken from fire. So obviously we want to get our fire res as high as possible. That's why we're going to be taking Prismatic Skin later on. We're also going to be taking these aura effect nodes, so Champion of the Cause. We're going with 8% increased damage for each of your aura herald skills affecting you. This reservation efficiency node here, we don't need the Bannerman stuff on this side because we are dropping from the 3.18 version of this. We are dropping Defiance Banner just because it makes it easier to fit in all of our aura skills. Now, as far as our skills go, when we get to Righteous Fire, this is a point where maybe you're going to be able to get a 6th link. If you're on League Start, this is when you're just zooming through the Blood Aqueducts, farming those tabby cards. This is the order, like this is 68 plus. We'll get into the mapping section later, but Righteous Fire, most important, unsurprisingly, LE Focus, Burning Damage, Increase Area of Effect, Life Tap, and then Swift Affliction. These are, if you get a 5 link, then you want to put in Life Tap. If you get a 6 link, you want to put in Swift Affliction as well. For our single target, we're continuing with Fire Trap, Control Destruction, Life Tap, and Trap and Mind Damage. This is still really good. For our Curse, this is, Frostblink, Hex Touch, Flammability, and Life Tap. For our Mobility is still, there's nothing really changed here too much. But for our auras, at this point, I would drop Vitality, and I would change this to Malevolence. This is going to get you a bunch of extra damage over time. It's a 50% one, but now we have enough mana reservation efficiency of skills to do it. And for our Warcry, again, we're staying with Infernal Cry. So let's take a look at what the early mapping and Uber Lab trees look like. And for our Uber Lab, we're going to be taking Righteous Providence, which is going to give us a bunch of strength and intelligence and a lot of crit strength chance as well, depending on which was going to be higher. And it's going to be strength. All right, so we're done with our Uber Lab. We're taking Righteous Providence, and we're into white and yellow tier maps. So at this point, we're going to come up here. We're going to take Unwavering Stance, so you just can't be stunned. This is pretty good. I would definitely recommend it. Elemental Resistances, just because it's really good defense for us. +1 maximum fire res, +2 all elemental resistances is a really nice node here. Prismatic Skin. I personally take Corrupted Blood. Cannot be inflicted on you because I think it's just nice to have. Then we're going to go with Warrior's Blood, so we've got some more life regen per second. And then we've got Heart of the Warrior, so we've got some extra maximum life. We've got percent increase maximum life. We're taking a couple of jewel sockets over here as well. So we'll talk about gearing in a second, but for our skills, basically everything's pretty much the same, except maybe you're going to throw in summon Skitterbots. You don't have someone's Stone Golem anymore, or Vitality. But Determination, very important. Malevolence, second most important, I would say. And then summon Skitterbots, if you can fit it in because you got enough mana reservation efficiency of skills, then take that as well. We can also, later on, depending on how well we gear, we can throw in Purity of Elements as our third aura and drop Skitterbots. So let's take a look now at what it's going to look like for our gearing. Alright, so a little word on gearing this. We're going to do a little bit of the campaign and then what to expect as you get into mapping. So before your normal lab, this is when you're using Rolling Magma and Wintertide Brand. You just need increased cast speed, spell damage on a wand. It's really nice, it makes you feel comfortable. I generally just ignore everything and just go for sockets. If you can get resistance on your gear, amazing. If you can get life on your gear, amazing. Then once you're out of normal lab, I don't have any boots here because usually I find my boots around Act 3. So you got some runner's boots, you got a couple of slightly better wands at this point in between normal and cruel lab. And then once you get to cruel lab, again, just try and get whatever you can on your gear. Once you get to the post-RF swap, this is where you want to be looking for a Death Thrust and a Pyre. You can get these very cheaply at League launch. Leather belt, amulets, that kind of stuff. Just, any way you can get life and resistance on your gear. I went for a shield here. You see, this is just magic stuff. So just a shield with some resistances on it, that kind of thing to put your shield charge in to help you move around a lot. Mobility is very, very good for this build. And then just increase spell damage on your weapon, whatever that is. I think a Scepter is really good because sometimes I really like to go Leap Slam if you can get it. It's a really, really great mobility skill. Okay, so for our early game mapping, this is early whites, yellow maps, that kind of stuff. We're largely using the same stuff. We've got a Death Rush and a Pyre. Most of our items here, they're just life resistances. Some of them got crafted resistances. Some of them got really bad crafted resistances on. There are 3 things that I think you should be crafting very early on. So the first is a Scepter. You can get a +1 level of all fire spells skill gems Scepter by just taking any Scepter you have, selling it to a vendor with 40% total quality of fire tagged skill gems. So if you see, I've got this Scorching Ray, it's got the fire tag, it's got 19% quality. I've got this Flame Blast, this has got the fire tag, it's got 6% quality. And I've got this Searing Bond, this has got fire tag, and it's got 20% quality. So when you throw all these things in here, you'll get a +1 to level of all fire spell skill gems. This is a 15% increase damage boost to your fire trap, to your Righteous Fire. Obviously, wouldn't do it on a Tyrant's Sekhem because it's only 26% increased elemental damage. I would do it on something that gives you 30%. This is just what I found at the vendor. But once you get one of those, you can just Org it and Regal it, and then you'll have something that's very decent and ready to go. For our helmet, I would recommend getting a Deafening, an Essence of Horror, and using this, when you put it on a helmet, makes Socketed Gems deal 30% more elemental damage, which is a huge boost, and then you put your fire trap setup in there, so you do 30% more damage to bosses. These Essences of Horror, along with Essences of Hysteria, Delirium, and I forget what the 4th one is. I'm not sure I even have all of them. Yeah, I only have 3 of them, but these are the big essences, and you get these from corrupting these ones. So if you find a Screaming Essence of Envy trapped in a essence monster, you can use a Remnant of Corruption on that, and then it will possibly turn into one of these Hysteria, Delirium, Horror, or Insanity is the 4th one. So if you find, I think, Misery, Envy, Dread, Scorn, those are the 4 essences you need to look out for. So we've got Scorn, Envy, Misery, and Dread here. If you corrupt any of these, and it could be Shrieking, could be Deafening, could be Screaming, they'll have a chance to turn into one of these, I think they're F tier essences. Then you can use this on any helmet that you want, and it will reforge it with Socketed Gems deal 30% more damage. They're quite expensive at League launch. I think they're around like 25, something like that, chaos. So perhaps consider farming this yourself. Then for the last thing that I would recommend for early mapping doing yourself is the body armor. I would recommend using a deafening essence of loathing on this, and this will reforge it to have 9 to 10% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, and that means you just get a little bit extra boost out of your auras, so you can fit in maybe an extra one. So now let's talk about what we're going to have in the tippy top end game. Okay, so for our red maps tree here, we're just going to add in a few more travel nodes. Come over here to these fire.multi and fire damage nodes over here, breath of flames. When it comes to our gear, this is just great gear. I'm not going to do a series on, like Ashes of the Stars and Melding of the Flesh, because, I mean, a well-rolled melding is going to be a lot. And, yeah, there's several significant issues with very high-tier gear now that the patch notes have been revealed. But for really, really good gear, I would say Replica Soul Tether is amazing. Death Rush, still really, really good, and you get Onslaught every time you kill, so you got Onslaught a lot during maps, lots of move speed. For another ring, just take Fire.multi and get lots of life and just increased elemental damage on opal rings are fantastic. Get a +1 fire level of skill gems amulet and try and get damage over time multiplier on that. For your boots, Legacy of Fury are the best in slot boots you can get. These drop from Maven. They are incredibly expensive the first day. I think they were 350 chaos on day 1 from during Sentinel League. Obviously, it depends on how quickly people can get to the end game, but they fall dramatically over time. After 3 or 4 days, they're about 20 chaos. They're very affordable quite early on. For your gloves, we want to use Eldritch Currencies to put some implicits on these and inflict fire exposure on hit, applying at least -11 to fire resistance. This means that we can also, this is something else I did, switch around Elemental Mastery into exposure you inflict applies at least -18 to the affected resistance. So that means when we hit anything, probably bosses, with our gloves and apply -11, it's actually going to be -18 fire resistance. You can spam whatever you want with that because it doesn't matter what tier it is, because we're going to get -18 from the mastery. And then ignites you inflict spread to other enemies within a radius of 14 is just nice to have. For your body armor, obviously mana reservation efficiency of skills, maybe you can fit in skitterbots. A well-rolled Ashes wouldn't go awry, but for your helmet, an Elder helmet will allow you to, if you spam a lot of those essences of horror that we talked about earlier on, you can get something like not level 25, that's too much, but level 20 burning damage support on that. So you can essentially get a 6-link for your fire trap, which is very, very nice. Rise of the Phoenix is a good early on +5 maximum fire resistance shield. This means it's going to be very, very comfortable for you when you're mapping. Then for your weapon, I would take something like this. It's just it's got the 3 crafted modifiers. Obviously, this is going to cost divines and they're going to be quite expensive. But just get the +1 level of all fire spell skill gems on your wand using the recipe with the 40% total quality of fire tagged gems. And then Aug it, and then Regal it, and hope you don't get too many prefixes. If you don't, you can have up to 3 crafted modifiers, which is a suffix, and then you can add 18 to 20 fire damage over time multiplier, and then increase fire damage and chance to ignite. And this is just a very decent weapon. This will carry you very, very far. And that's about it for the gearing section. Okay, so that's it for this Righteous Fire Inquisitor League Start Guide. Now remember, it is a League Start Guide, so you're not going to be doing 100% Delirium with this build. It can be absolutely fantastic as you go through the campaign. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm in 2 minds about either doing this or Toxic Rain, or maybe the Totems one I've done earlier. I very much enjoy the long neck Templar boy. So If you like this video, please chuck it a like, subscribe, and I hope you're kind to everyone you meet. I love you all very much, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much.